For those of you who know me, you know that I'm a school counselor. I've been working as a school counselor since 1992, and before that, I was a teacher and a counselor at a reform school, and I worked at Millersville University for 2 years, and then I did an internship at Penn Manor High School in Millersville for part of my master's degree in counselor education. I also earned a Ph.D. in educational psychology from Temple University in Philadelphia. Um, where I studied college transition issues, adolescent development, cognitive development in particular, but also learning and engagement and technology. Explains the Temple hat here. And this year I'm retiring as a school counselor, so I'm pretty excited. 30 years within the PSER system, which is the retirement system in Pennsylvania. So 30 years is kind of a milestone for people to get to. I'm not quite 60 yet. But COVID has been so challenging this year. It's been like 3 years in one. I said that in a blog of mine, like 3 months ago, and it just aged me. But it was a hard year, but it was a good year to stick with it. The kids needed us, and it was time to step up and do our job when things weren't easy. And things weren't easy. So I retired June 7th officially. I have a couple of days to mop up after that with transcript submissions and NCAA eligibility, and some of the things that we do as school counselors over the summer. Fortunately, I don't have to do scheduling anymore, course selection. I'm going to be done from that piece of it. I'm doing the input part right now, which is helping get the course selection sheets correct so that when they go into the scheduler, that hopefully the results will be more correct coming out. Input, output, that old idea. So I was talking to my buddy Todd a few days ago, and he's a screenwriter, originally from central Pennsylvania. He lives out in California now. He's a filmmaker, a screenwriter, an author. A guy that's really gone for it. He really pursued his dream and he made it work, and it's pretty cool. I was telling him, man, Todd, you're a lot more adventuresome than me, but there's a part of me that really respects him, because when he had a passion for films and screenwriting and writing books, he did it. He just, he pursued it with everything he had. And I still remember the story of him breaking his arm skateboarding out in California. He didn't have any health insurance, so he walked around with a broken arm for however long it took to heal, a couple months. That's dedication. A lot of times people want to do great things, but they're not willing to sacrifice great things, and it doesn't work. I mean, there's a chance that somebody could become an overnight sensation with something relatively shallow, I guess is the word, but it won't last because it doesn't have any foundation, it doesn't have any root. So usually sacrifice and the pursuit of a passion makes the difference. You have to have some talent, that's true, some natural talent. But you have to be very passionate. You have to be willing to work through a lot of dissonance and apathy and your own internal decisions that you make and all those type of things. So I'm pretty excited to be retiring. So my big focus in retirement is going to be some combination of travel, books, beer, craft beer in particular, coffee, storytelling. And Todd was really, really encouraging me. He said, Eric, you have kind of the traits that could be successful on things like YouTube, because you have a perspective, you're thoughtful, you're articulate, those kind of things. And I take his counsel seriously, because he's a player. He's in the field, and it's important to be humble, but it's also important to be confident. So I guess there's a combination there, or balance. But I have sacrificed a lot to become the person that I am, and it hasn't always been pretty. If you think success is always going to be, I don't know, for lack of a better word, clean or whatever, I don't know. It's just the ability to get out of bed the next day and try again, and hopefully learn some things and be willing to learn from others, because it's good to be an individualist. It's good to be original, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I guess that's the way of saying it. So I'm going to travel. I'm going to write. I'm going to read a lot of books, the classic books. I'm going to enjoy craft beer. I'm going to enjoy good coffee. And then I'll publish some videos about it. But you know, the kind of the umbrella under which all this is going to be named is Bierkergaard, which is the name of my blog, which I've had for about 10 years. So that's obviously a play on Søren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher from Copenhagen, I guess. Bierker. That's my last name, Bierker. That's the first part of Bierkergaard. Bierker, and then Gaard, Gaard. So that's the name for my YouTube channel. It's also the name of my Instagram account. It's also the name of my Twitter. So I don't like the term branding. I think that's, I don't know, it sounds cheap to me, or it sounds very commodity oriented, like somehow this is all about making money, putting money in the pocket. I'm in a good position, you know, based on the current economy. We'll see what happens tomorrow, where I really don't need money. I've worked hard to save. I have enough money to live off of, I think. We'll see. Plan to do some consulting on the side. So I'm not really looking to monetize the brand, you know, even like some sense of celebrity. I mean, that's pretty goofy. I don't know. If things happen, it should happen organically, and a person should make an impact because they're authentic and they're real, and they're not trying to win the crowd, because the crowd is temperamental, man. That's all I can say. The older one gets, and I'm 57 years old, closer to 58 at this point, is I spent an enormous amount of time in my life, I don't know, not necessarily trying to impress others, but trying to do what society and the church and other parties that I was a part of, you know, kind of mandated, or at least sent a very strong message that we should do, like the way to live. And I lost a lot of independence in the midst of that. And that's okay to a point, because I think we're selfish and we're self-centered, and it's important to be part of groups that force a person like me to compromise and to think through things and to think things through from another perspective. But there's a really unhealthy side of group dynamics and institutional thinking, which is conformity. And I'm a Christian. I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. I don't like what has happened in the current church in America. I think it's really, I think the New Testament kind of is modern in the sense that we still have the same groups here today. We still have the Sadducees. We still have the Pharisees. We still have the Zealots. We still have the Romans. You know, all the things that existed in the New Testament. That's not just back then; it's right now. And I'm disenchanted with the American church to a degree, but I'm not disenchanted with Jesus. That's two separate things. And Jesus said people would come in His name and not be a part of what He was or what He is. And you know, we have to be honest. We're all inconsistent. We're all hypocrites. But I think there's a line there between that and just religious Elmer Gantry politicization of the faith that just is projection and judgment on others and a lack of accountability for ourselves. So I'm coming up on 10 minutes here. That's probably long enough for me to talk. But yeah, travel to Belgium is on the agenda if I can do it. Vietnam, because I would like to visit the people of Vietnam and kind of revisit the history there, all the tragedy, but also the story of redemption. Ethiopia for coffee, the Guji region in particular. For Belgium, it's the Trappist Brews. American craft brewery and brewing. The national parks in the United States. California in general I want to get to, because there's a lot of national parks out there. Plus some really good foundational brewers like Sierra Nevada, Russian River, Anchor Steam. I have a friend that has a coffee shop out in Sacramento. There's a lot of other stuff out there too. So that's hopefully on the docket. I want to get down to Smoky Mountain National Park down in Tennessee, because I have friends in Nashville. Over time, I'm not necessarily a person that knows a ton of people, but over time you do accumulate friends, and life moves them elsewhere for various reasons. And it's nice to stay in touch. I would say one good thing about social media, despite all of its negativity, is some sense of being able to stay in touch with people whose lives are important to me, and vice versa. Hopefully I'm important to them in a way. But I'm not a believer in social media as the primary way to connect with people. I think it's a good reflection maybe of a relationship that already exists. So anyway, that's it for now. We will see you down the road.